Y'all made that real popular now, didn't you? I've currently gotten 23 comments on the video, which is really, really nice. I wanted to talk about... Oh my god, there's more. Oh my god, there are so many more comments I haven't responded to. Was it, I would agree with most of the comments. I would never buy a bootleg unless it was something that doesn't have a physical media release. I don't feel too guilty about that. I'm happy to give the company money to buy their product, but if they don't want to release it, what else can I do? I do agree, though, that I worry about normies who buy the stuff without realizing they're bootlegs. They'll definitely get ripped off. Well, CFS Superhero? Yeah. Thanks for the comment. So this is kind of going to be a reflection, a response video to yesterday's video. I don't do this very often where I'm like, I want to talk about this because this is interesting. So yesterday's video, which will be linked down below as well, is the bootleg video I did. My PSA about bootlegs on eBay for Blu-rays. And I was mostly making the video out of a direct concern, like, oh my god, people are going to fall for this, because people have been falling for it. And I was concerned about that, because I like buying movies on eBay, because I get $5 vouchers every month. There's also eBay Plus vouchers, all that bullshit. So I like to, in my spare time, browse through that, because it saves me from doing it on Amazon sometimes, and we see how it goes. So, of course, the bootlegs started popping up, the ones with the very obvious images and stuff, and they were clearly movies from streaming or that had been, just come out in cinema. Those are the ones that I'm mostly concerned about, the just came out in cinema, because it's like, these clearly don't have an actual physical release yet and will eventually. There was like The Flash at the time that I was filming the video, because I filmed that video like 2 months ago. So, back when I had purple hair, how about that? I don't have that anymore. So, I wanted to kind of look at it, because a lot of the comments, which I kind of actually surprisingly agreed with, was people saying how they preferred buying the bootlegs if they were films that didn't have physical releases. And I hadn't thought about that, because my growing up years of having bootleg stuff was stuff that we couldn't get access to because it was like UK exclusive or whatever, or like, hey, here's episodes of Doctor Who that you can't get yet because they're not in Australia, or whatever the hell that my uncle could basically get us. And a lot of the time, they were fine. They were obviously like DVD or rips or whatever, nothing too high quality, because this is like 20 years ago, so it's not the best stuff in the world, but it's like, we're a country of pirates, yar-har, the Australias that is, and it's like, it's a natural thing for us to pirate movies every once in a while, especially ones that, have gone to cinema only in the US or only in the UK, or like not in Australia yet for months in advance, and we're like, we'll pirate it because they've got it on streaming in Australia, like that Weird Al Yankovic film. He encouraged us to pirate it because Roku wasn't streaming in Australia. Now, of course, it has a physical media release, so there are conjunctions to something like that. But in terms of bootleg Blu-ray releases, it kind of astounded me at first. I was like, oh my god, everyone's like basically on the same page here, where I wasn't thinking, what if there's a film or show that you like that's only on Netflix or, Disney Plus or whatever, and then gets a bootleg release because someone can, with their magical tricks, download a file from the streaming service. Like, some people would just screen record it and then be like, there, easy, cheap, whatever the crap, most technology doesn't allow you to do that. I don't know the specifics, because I'm no expert, because I've never done it before. But there are people who have the ability to just rip something straight from a streaming service, slap it onto a disc in like, I don't know, maybe a 25 megabit disc kind of thing, with like a decent looking transfer that is like as original filed from the actual streaming service itself. So not completely with the compression, I don't really know, but to the best of their ability, with the best version that they can possibly come up with, and then slap it on a disc. Is the seller on eBay going to tell you that? Are they going to say, I went to the odds and ends and made sure I could get this bootleg for you? It's like, no, they're not going to tell you that. You're not going to know until it arrives, if you buy it. But it's just such an interesting thing that so many people were saying, how it's like, yeah, well, if these are films that you can't buy because they're exclusive to streaming services, and they could disappear whenever, because despite them being exclusive to Disney Plus or Apple TV or Netflix, they could go in an instant, which has happened. for a bunch of stuff. So it's like seeing people say that yeah, maybe we should actually, support bootlegs to some degree. Is it the next wave, the next generation of physical media in a world where we're getting less, prime stuff like that released onto physical stuff like Disney films and, the Star Wars TV shows or whatever the hell from streaming, the streaming exclusive stuff that isn't going to, randomly getting picked up by Criterion, or is anyone else doing actual physical media releases for streaming shows? There's like the occasional, like if it's like a Paramount show, they'll sometimes do it for like Star Trek, but I mean some of that still goes on TV. I don't know. It depends. It's streaming in Australia, but like the TV, like still cable networks in America. So it obviously will depend on the brand, but yeah, it's just bizarre. I didn't think of that. I was like, fuck, that's a good point. I can't believe I didn't think of that. Like, I mean, it doesn't surprise me because it's not what I think of immediately when I see bootleg. I think, oh, great, regular people are going to find this and buy it thinking that this is the official physical media release, which is still my only real concern that I keep from that video that I made yesterday, because that was kind of the point of the video. I didn't realize that obviously there's going to be the physical media collector side. Like the people who love these films and love these shows and whatever and are like, hey, this stuff doesn't have actual releases. We've got to get it somehow. Whether it be that you pirate it or whether you get a bootleg release. I know that there were a bunch of Marvel fans who, when the TV shows were coming out, they would make custom Blu-ray cases and steelbooks. Even if they were to sell them, it didn't really matter. But the fact that they would make this stuff and then show it like in images on Reddit or whatever, be like, hey, look at the steelbook I made for WandaVision and for, the Winter Soldier show, whatever it was called, Falcon and Winter Soldier, but like stuff like that. And people were like, wow, where'd you get this? I didn't know they released this officially. And it's like, no, I custom made it. Obviously they usually credit the person who made it, or they will say that they actually made it themselves because they're a huge collector, they love the Marvel films, and they want to have all the Marvel films and shows on physical. And sure, to some huzzah, you've gotten stuff like Loki and WandaVision coming out on Steelbook. Both the weird Manta Lab release where they had no disc, and then the official release, which actually had like a 4K UHD and a Steelbook and all that jazz. I don't even know if they released a standard version. I think they just released Steelbook versions. Bizarre, but still, it's got a physical release. That's nice. So, yeah, it's not going to encourage me to buy any films or shows on bootleg. At least not to my current predicament. Like, given that for me personally, Netflix is like a family account. I don't really use it that often, and when I do, it's usually something that is like really important that's come out, or like something completely fresh and new, like say like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio and the new Scott Pilgrim show, like stuff like that was like, well, that's only on Netflix, I gotta watch it on Netflix, It wasn't oh hey, here's The Lost City, I can watch it on Netflix instead of buying the physical version that's been out for a couple months now, Despite it being a movie that I would know would eventually go to Netflix, which it bloody well did, and I still got the 4K in. You'll see that in this weekend. So it's like, it's one of those things that I personally have no desperation to buy these bootlegs. But I can understand where people are coming from. Like, I hope I don't have to go down that alleyway of doing it, because it is technically legal for me to buy them because they're on eBay. If they're on eBay, I can buy them, whatever. This isn't some back alleyway, black market bullshit. This is just, like, this isn't like the 80s and, like, 90s where you had, like, bootleg VHS tapes of video nasties. This is just, like, basic movies that you can stream, that you could just pay $15 a month and watch the whole show and whatever else is on the streaming service, or, you just pirate it, or you buy the bootleg. And it's technically illegal for the person to sell the bootleg, I think. I don't know. Given it's on YouTube, given it's on eBay, I guess it doesn't really matter that much. You can sell anything on eBay. Probably, I was going to say maybe not the human body parts, but then I realized, alright, there's also, like, trafficking, so I probably shouldn't say you can sell anything. I don't know, I haven't been in that area of eBay. I keep saying YouTube, it's eBay. Both just as messed up as the other, I guess, probably. So I guess I'm going to take a look at the rest of the comments, see what other people thought. There was another comment from Tory10 saying how they were visiting the US and they found the Justified, I think it's City Primeval, they just said Justified Primeval. They found the Blu-ray there because I believe that you can just find it in stores in the US, but you can't find it in Australia because it doesn't have a physical media release here yet. Or maybe it does, I don't know, I'm not a fan of the show, so I haven't really looked into it. I also haven't watched the show or the original, so it's on Disney Plus, so I could watch it. But you know, I don't like bootlegs, but I will source them from unreleased stuff. It's worse not having them. The bootleg market has seen a revival because of distribution companies and streaming companies' refusal to release. It's driven by them. That was AJS Movie Place. Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I think there is no real yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting seeing how the dynamic of everyone basically saying the same thing. Like most of the comments will say the same things. If they don't release the official versions of the films, then have no problem with bootlegs. Says Matt versus movies. You know, Dino Kidder says some of these look legit to make it worse. The Vortex being the UK photo, for example. So they do have official releases sometimes in some countries, but are limited to those countries sometimes. So it's tricky, isn't it? It's going to happen more and more with everyday streaming takes over, and it's far from a new thing. I am too much of a quality snob to have given any one of them a chance myself. But if studios won't put it out on physical, then I say to the people making the bootlegs, go for it. And that's from the Blue Corner, so it's like, these are people who are buying. It's you. It's all y'all. It's you. This is you saying this stuff. I'm aware of these bootlegs and I don't care. If something is never going to get a physical release and I can't make my own, then I'll buy them. And Action Jackson, you're definitely correct on that. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's a curious thing to look at this kind of thing because, I don't know. I'm still just in bewilderment to some degree. Mostly because I didn't really look at this point of view where everyone else is like, yeah, well, if you can't get the real deal, why not get a bootleg? And I'm like, shit, that's a good point. Why didn't I think of that? But yeah, so I'm not going to encourage that people buy bootlegs, probably for legal reasons. But you do whatever you want to do. If you want to buy these bootlegs, do whatever the hell you want. Like, I feel like I could get one now to test if it's a good quality thing. But at the same time, in the same video yesterday, I was saying how I wanted to experiment by buying one, seeing how legitimate it was to see if it was actually bootleg. But it's like, the problem was that I didn't find any films or shows that was being advertised through these, through these eBay sellers as things I actually want to buy. Like, none of these were films or shows that I was like, yeah, I want to buy Red Notice, the Dwayne The Rock Johnson movie. Like, none of that shit interested me. So it's like, I can understand people wanting to get the bootleg, but I just couldn't see anything there that I personally wanted. And I think if I had bought something and gone to the degree of, I'm going to keep it, like, I might have, gotten it in and watched it and been like, this actually is pretty good. And then maybe I would have looked into, some kind of technical aspect of it. I don't know. The stuff to prove that it is bootleg, but then to be like, it might be fake, but it's pretty good, despite not having any special features or maybe multiple audio options. I don't know. I don't know what the specifics of these high quality, 1080p rips have. None of them are 4K to my knowledge. I haven't seen any 4Ks yet, but yeah, I could have done that. I could have gone through that avenue of discovering that myself and being like, coming to a natural, probably, conclusion of, if it's a film or show I don't have, that doesn't have a physical media release and is on a streaming service that I don't want to subscribe to, or that I don't want to have to keep subscribing to it just to watch this one movie, then, yeah, that makes sense. It would have been a natural conclusion I think I would have made myself, and, yeah. So, I don't know, there's not much else I can say about this. It's an interesting thing to see that this is an alternate way for physical media. I am not completely happy with it for the aspect of the people who are making these shows and movies aren't getting the credit that they deserve. I don't know if they get any money from me buying a physical Blu-ray. you know, it probably doesn't matter that much because it's probably more the studio gets the money, the director of the film probably doesn't. You know, the director of the film would probably prefer, like with Weird Al saying how go, you know, rip off the film, go pirate the film. It's like, they might just prefer that people go see it, you know, over the money, you know, because they've probably already been paid. If they're not a producer on it, then they're like, yeah, go ahead. I don't give a shit, you know. The more people that see it, the more interest that people get in, like, maybe that person's career or the other films that person has made and stuff like that. So it's like, it can help to branch out things that you wouldn't expect, you know, like me borrowing films from friends, or yeah, that's basically it. Like random films that my friends will suggest to me. Oh, this is on Netflix or Foxtel or, you know, Stan or something. They'll be like, you should go watch this. It's funny or it's weird. And, you know, then that encourages me to look into more of the person's work. And, yeah, it goes from there. It's a domino effect. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for the comments. That was very enlightening. There was another comment that was on it that I think was deleted. I can't remember what they were saying, but something relevant, but then they also made another comment that was not relevant and was kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Offensive? Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. So, yay. Good job, people, for being stupid. I don't know. It's a comment section. At least still be nice. I don't know what's wrong with some people. But the rest of y'all, thanks for the comments. Thanks for the nice treatment. It's a very different thing for me when a video will just take off in comments. You know, like views still doing well, likes still doing well, but then comments, like, that's like 20 odd comments in one video, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, that doesn't happen too often for me, because it's a lot. It's a lot for a lot of people to be talking, like, if to me, then at least at me, one of the two, you know, they're like, oh, I'm responding to your video by saying this, and I'm like, wow, okay, I have to, like, read this, and, like, process it, and, like, come up with a response, and I usually wake up 7 hours after these videos have come out to see all these comments, and I'm like, oh, I gotta respond, I gotta go to work, I have a job. So, yeah, it's a thing. So this has all happened for me in the past, like, I don't know, 17 hours, 16 hours, I don't think it's even 4 o'clock yet, it is 3:30. So, yes, but still, thanks for watching the previous video. If you didn't watch it, go check it out. Link down below, and probably at the end screen as well. And yeah, I don't know. That's, again, I might test out one of these bootlegs eventually. Like, if there's like a film or show that I'm desperate to own and there's no physical release for it, and it's like, hey, it's only like $20 odd, you know. Like, most of these are like $23, which is like pretty goddamn good for a Blu-ray. So I'm like, oh, I'll consider it, and this is Australian dollars, mind you, so, yeah, I don't know, we'll see. I don't know, if I do, you'll know about it, because you'll hopefully be subscribed. If you're not, I guess subscribe. I hate plugging the goddamn channel. Do whatever you want. See you next time, be nice to each other, and, I don't know, support physical media to whatever ends that you can. See you later.